In 2020, crimes and discrimination are still a reality in South Africa, and hate crimes in particular. Despite being protected by our constitution, members of the LGBTIQ+ community continue to live in fear. Promises from government have been made, but often those are just empty words. Today, members of the LGBTIQ+ community gathered at Constitution Hill to raise the rainbow flag in celebration of Pride Month and also raise awareness. Let's get more from Thami Kotlolo. He's the founder of the Thami Foundation. Thami, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. You know, as much as you going to Constitution Hill to raise a flag, to create awareness, that's something that needs to be done. But the reality is that hate crimes and discrimination continues in 2020.
Thank you, Shahan, for having me on your show today. I think the pandemic has actually made that even more clearer for us as the LGBT community. For the longest of time, I think what we've done is just made sure that we try and find better ways to work within the spaces that we're in with government. And I think everyone knows that when we do the things that we do, it's usually about just being able to access equal services and equal rights as for everyone else in the world. So, and especially in South Africa. So I think the only problem that has happened, Shahan, is that, it's becoming more clearer for us in the country that there is a disservice that's happening and there is an inequality that happens for queer people in general, especially with the pandemic. So yeah, when Pride Month, it would have been a different kind of tone, but I think reality wants us to have different conversations.
Yeah, I want to talk about these promises from government officials, the president, the Gauteng premier, about looking out for the LGBTIQ+ community. We're not seeing those being realized, are we?
Well, I've worked very well with government in the past, and I think I continue to work with them in different departments for those who actually, live up to the promises and uphold the Constitution. But I think that once you make a promise to a certain group of people to deliver within a certain space, whether it's 100 days of your existence within that position, or it's within that year, please can you do so, because it hasn't really happened. And I mean, I put out an open letter yesterday to our premier about the promises that he had made 6 years ago, which we haven't received as yet. We haven't seen that happen. I mean, I've been able to work with a couple of departments on a few trainings, but during the time of, I think that the shift also with the pandemic helped us, fast track the issues that really matter for all of us. And what we've been wanting to do is to get to a point where we do actually have an established LGBTIQ+ desk that's there, that services all the people of this country, let alone just the province itself. Yeah. But I would want us to be able to get to a point where we actually don't go around keep making promises to all LGBT people and it just does not get delivered over 6 years.
Now, history has taught us that we can't rely on government officials to actually solve many of our crises and concerns. So let's talk about changing mindsets and how, as an organization like the Thami Foundation or many other groups in South Africa, that we help change mindsets. How does that work?
Well, I think, it was a very interesting thing to watch a webinar yesterday on conscious leadership. And I think conscious leadership then must come into play now when we're talking about leadership and changing mindsets of humans, but also being able to uphold Constitution. What we've since realized with the COVID pandemic is that there's so many other things that people can really do in a short space of time, as opposed to the promises that keep getting delayed over time because, we're ticking boxes. So I do believe that the government has got incredible potential. And if it's in the right people who actually have heart and who've got an interest in making sure that they deliver to all their promises, one, but two, who actually understand what the real issues are. And the fact that, we're in schools, we're in homes that are homophobic, we're in spaces that don't protect us, we're in environments that don't make us feel safe, and that this is only happening for the first time in our lives where we're literally forced to just isolate and to be on our own. And it was the hardest thing for trans humans who perhaps wanted to find a safe space and to realize that we don't even have shelter in the country that is created for trans women to go there and find social services and a place of safety was quite alarming. Many of the concerns that we've received are of young children or learners who are in schools who have been, finding an escape through, going to school and getting into other activities as opposed to being at home. But now they're confronted with being at home in environments that are not empowering, but also quite damaging. Mental health has been a huge conversation worldwide, and not just for the LGBTQ plus humans, but I think for everyone else. And now, as humans, when we can realize and recognize the fact that we've gone through some mental health challenges, it's even worse for people who are in a space where they feel like they can't access any kind of service.
Yeah.
So it's continuous. It just makes you want to, fight for what they say they would do and what they promised to establish 6, 8, 10 years ago. We're 25 years into over 25 years into our constitution. But I think that this is time for us to make changes. If we're looking at constructing or going into what we now call a new world, I think that new world, a new way of being needs to represent and reflect that for LGBT people.
Yeah, definitely. Thami Kotlolo, founder of the Thami Dish Foundation. Thanks so much for your time and your insight. Appreciate it. Also, safe travels.